Good morning and welcome to FitNews. I'm Jen from Fit with Shaver, and I help women learn to make exercise work with their fluctuating hormones and not against by doing the right exercises at the right time and the right intensity. If you joined me last week for FitNews, you know that we discussed hip dips, thigh gaps, and cellulite, and the role that genetics plays in all of those, because those hip dips and thigh gaps have a lot to do with your bone structure, and yes, even skinny people can have cellulite based on their genetics. So I hope this week you focus not on those things, but on the things that you control, like your protein intake, fiber intake, your strength training 2 days a week, and getting those intervals in. Ladies, those are important too. I want to stick with our hip theme that we have going on, because the hips don't lie, ladies. And I want to discuss our glute medius today. And the glute medius, or the glute med, as it is referred to when it's shortened, it extends from the top of our pelvis to the top of our femur. Okay, so it goes all the way down. All right, and it is so important because the glute med is our pelvic stabilizer. In other words, it stabilizes our pelvis so we don't have a wonky pelvis. We need to make sure that we have a stable pelvis. And it is one of the muscles, or it's a very important muscle too, that we tend to forget about because we're spending a lot of time focused on that glute max. And while that's getting all the glory, it's the glute med that we really need to be paying attention to. Okay, it's the muscle that is most likely to become weak as we age. And it's important that we keep it strong to prevent injury, right? If we have a weak pelvis, we run the risk of not being as stable and then run the risk of falling. So I have 3 great exercises today that I want to show you that you can do at home without equipment, or you can add a mini band. But these are 3 great exercises that will help you to strengthen that glute med, okay? So the first exercise you may have seen before, maybe you're already doing it, but we're going to make a little change to it. And all 3 of these exercises that I'm going to share with you today, while they strengthen your glute med, you can use a mini band if you have, a loop band, if you have one, but they are just as effective if you don't have one. But if you have one, and after you've been doing these exercises for a while and you need to add a little bit of a challenge, go ahead and feel free to add that mini band in. Okay, so exercise number 1, that is great for the glute med. We're going to head down to our mat, and it is a clam, but we're going to add an internal and external rotation to that clam. So we're going to first get into our clam position. We want to make sure, and always make sure, that we are stacked, not just in our hips, but also with our shoulder and our elbow. So we want to make sure that our shoulder is in line with our elbow and our hips are stacked. Well, what does it mean to have our hips stacked? It means that they are in line with each other. The bottom hip is in line with the top hip. So don't let this top hip fall forward, and don't let it fall back. And if you need to use your arm to help hold you, you can. So now my legs are bent, my hips are nice and stacked, my knees are on top of each other. Usually when you do a clam, you have your feet together and you open and close, and you can feel that right in that glute med, which is what we're trying to work. But we're going to do it a little different. We're going to lift the leg, keeping those hips stacked, and we're going to take this knee and we're going to point it down. Our foot is flexed, and then back up. And then point that knee down, and then back to center. So this is adding just a little bit more work and getting into that glute med just a bit more. So you lift, point the knee down, keep your foot flexed, keep those hips stacked, and you'll really feel that working in that glute med. So that is a clam with an internal and external rotation. The next great exercise that really gets in there is a side plank with a hip abduction. Now again, we want to make sure that when we do this, that we have that shoulder and our elbow are nice and stacked. I prefer to keep this leg bent. You are more than welcome to straighten it and do your hip abduction this way, but especially when you're first starting, I would start with that bottom leg staying down and bent. Again, look, our hips are nice and in line. It's not forward, that top hip, don't let it fall forward, don't let it fall back, okay? Keep those hips nice and stacked, and we're just going to lift and lower, lift and lower. And you will feel this not only in this glute med, but also in that bottom glute med. So that's a great one because it works both of those glute meds at the same time. Exercise number 3. That is excellent. We're going to come all the way down on our mat, down to our back. Our feet are going to be flat on the floor. Our back is going to be on the floor. This is where we want to make sure that our spine is in line. So we don't want to have an arch in our back. So we may need to do a nice pelvic tilt. Tilt your pelvis. So now our spine is in line. We can't even fit paper underneath our back and the mat. Okay, it's nice and flat. The spine is in line. Our hands will go down to our side. And when we come up for this bridge, we want to really push our feet into the ground, really ground those feet. That way you're really using your glutes to push up. Keeping that spine in line. Don't let that arch happen. You need to hold that spine in line, okay? Let's go ahead and let's just get in a quick glute med workout. So let's start with our clam. Let's get our hips stacked, our elbow. Let's go ahead and lift that leg, and let's point the knee down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You should be feeling that right in your glute med. Let's go ahead and go up for our side plank. Remember to keep those hips stacked, keep that shoulder and that elbow stacked. Your core is tight, and let's lift and lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let's go ahead and switch sides so that way we are even. Let's get our clams first. Clam with the internal-external rotation. Feel free to use your top arm to help stabilize so that hip does not fall forward, and make sure it does not roll back. Lift the leg, and let's rotate that knee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's go ahead and come on up for the side plank with hip abduction. Remember to keep everything nice and stacked. Don't let those hips fall forward and don't let them fall back. Let's lift and lower the leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Are you feeling that here? And are you feeling that here? That's where you should be feeling it. Let's go ahead and go all the way down to our mat and get a set of bridges in. Remember to do your pelvic tilt so that way your spine is nice and in line and your back is flat. We don't want that arch in that back. Our feet are flat, and we're going to hold our Core nice and tight. Arms are to the side. We're pushing through those feet. Keep those feet down. Really ground those feet as you come up. 1, and squeeze your glutes when you get to the top. 2, give it a nice squeeze. 3, 4, use it or lose it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All of those exercises, you can do that routine 3 times. Okay, so 3 sets. If you run through it 2 more times, if you did that 3 to 4 times a week, that would really help to strengthen your glute medius, which is that pelvic stabilizer, and it is so important to keep your pelvis nice and strong, especially as we age. I mean, we need to make sure that that pelvis is strong if we want to continue to be climbing steps, getting in and out of the car, getting up and off of a chair, and just in general walking around. So keep those hips strong and you will stay. It will help you to stay injury free. Have a great week and I'll see you next time. Bye.